Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, we're going to do a little Modern Horizons action here with Pashalik Mons. Now, I did have the opportunity, I'm recording this in the wee hours of Friday night, I guess that would be Saturday morning. I did have a chance to play this deck tonight. I was kind of outclassed at the table, but it still did really good. Pashalik Mons, referred to by Mons Goblin Raiders in Alpha. It only took us, 26 years to get it? 3 mana 2/2. Whenever Mons or another Goblin you control dies, Mons deals 1 damage to any target. Now, for 4 mana, you get kind of a Goblin Warrens thing going. It's a little more expensive. You sack a Goblin to get 2 Goblins, so just by activating that, he's going to deal 1 damage to any target. Now, one thing that I don't have in here that I probably want to is the Gorgon's Head. The ability to give this Death Touch so that 1 damage to any target just instantly kills the creature. That'll be in the next, probably in the next update for it. But let's go through it. First, we're going to go through the mana here, which I'll be honest with you, I don't think is enough. We have Pyretic Ritual, Mana Geyser, Battle Hymn for each creature. The Battle Hymn is just about a double-costed Brightstone Ritual, And then, of course, we have Skirk Prospector, which does double duty here because we want to sack goblins and we want to get mana. I found out this is a mana hungry deck. It feels like you want to activate Pashalik every turn just to get that damage engine rolling. Now, I don't know that it gets any better for card draw in goblins than Skull Clamp. It did. Skull Clamp, I drew the Skull Clamp tonight, and about 2 turns later, I drew the Goblin King, so I never played the King because I didn't want them to have a 2 toughness because I wanted to keep drawing the cards, which, as it turned out, that wasn't a problem. Teferi's Puzzle Box on the other side of the table kind of got us there for that. Now let's look at things that make Goblin tokens. Now, Dragon Fodder was early up there. Krinko's Command. I'm going to go through these pretty quick because these are all just pretty much mana for tokens, One of the first ones was Goblin Scouts. Now, these had Mountain Walk. That's why I guess it was 5 mana. Evidently, you lose Mountain Walk and it's worth 3 mana, which is still really good. Goblin Offensive, X spells, and I love that flavor text. Empty the Warrens just in case something crazy goes off. Krinko, the Kingpin. He makes a ton. Goblin Assault, Mog War Marshal, Siege Gang Commander, the Instigator, War Party, War Boss, but now you got to be careful with the War Boss too because of that Mentor ability. And then Goblin Warrens. Now, Goblin Warrens is a lot like Pashalik, but this is a cheaper version. Obviously it's 1 mana cheaper, and I noticed that 1 mana mattered tonight. I didn't do it as much as I wanted to. I didn't have the Warrens. I didn't draw it. I was using the commander itself. So I guess let's look at the goblins. It's a pretty standard suite of goblins. That was my turn 1, the Balloon Brigade, and did manage to get in, 2-3 points of damage. We kind of have to have Mons Goblin Raiders. We really do. It's Mons. I realize they're vanilla, and it doesn't do anything, but it's Mons Goblins. So, this is the Glory Chaser. It's renowned. It's not bad. The Goblin Matron, able to go tutor up you a Goblin card. The War Driver, which is, I don't really count as a lord, but you'll notice that a lot of these goblins, the Chain Whirler, I think tonight was the first time I've ever cast a Chain Whirler. That was That was kind of fun. I killed absolutely nothing when I cast the Chain Whirler. But a lot of these are just, like the Mog Fanatic. I sacked the Mog Fanatic to do 4 damage tonight. Yeah, because when you sack the Mog Fanatic, it deals 1, Pashalik deals 1. I had the Gratuitous Violence out, so they both did 2. So I was able to sack a Mog Fanatic and kill Nekuzar. 4 toughness Nekuzar. I was living the dream. He came right back, but still. But just good old-fashioned goblins that in a pinch you can actually get in there and, do goblin things, do goblin combat. Here again, this is a good sack outlet. Sack a goblin, therefore Pashalik's going to ping them. Horde of Boggarts, red permanents, wow, and it has menace. Goblin Surgeon, now it's a sacrifice ability to, save probably Pashalik. Now, there were 3 versions of this card in Fallen Empires, and I can't tell you why this art is worth more than the other 2. It's weird. Frenzied Goblin, the Diplomats, Raging Goblin. He raged at the world, at his family, at his life, but mostly he just raged. The Slinger, Goat Napper. Now, stop laughing now. The Goat Napper, really good, I think, here because we just got more changelings, and it's probably something they're going to continue. Yeah, I'll take somebody's Morphon all day long. The Skirk Drill Sergeant, the Reckless One, Bloodmark Mentor, of course, First Strike, Volley Veteran, Keeper of Kukus, Squee, gotta have Squee, right? I didn't get to cast Squee because of I got puzzle boxed, and I had the Skull Clamp and Squee, and I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. 4 mana for 2 cards is not amazing, but when it's repeatable in red, it kind of is. But it never kind of happened because of the box, and it was early, and I didn't have enough mana to cast Squee and the Clamp, so I was like, well, I got to have the Clamp. I can always cast Squee from the yard later, But that was my logic at the time. It was faulty logic because Squee went to the bottom of the library because of the box. But anyway, then we get into our more standard lores, as it were. And these are basically only in there just in case the Pashalik thing does not pan out, +1 in haste, +1 in mountain walk. They're all cheaper. +1 and a sack outlet to pop an artifact, so that's not bad. Speaking of popping artifacts, if you'll notice, the Skull Clamp is it. The Skull Clamp is the only artifact in there, and we're not always going to draw it. I got super lucky tonight by getting the Skull Clamp. I'll admit that I did, but that's why I'm running stuff like Shatterstorm and Granulate, because you know what? That is totally goblin things. I don't normally run a lot of, kill all artifacts, but hey, it works. Okay, let's look at some, what is this, just good staple cards, Goblin War Strike, just in case, the goblins get there and they're 2, 3, 4 damage shy. You can War Strike to finish up the rest. Blaze, good utility. Yes, Fireball is, just about every other X spell is better, but I don't know. I'll be honest with you, it's this art for this card. The portal art, that's what got me. And to be honest with you, flavor-wise, because I had picked it up and I was holding it in my hand, and how I justified this over any of the other red X spells was Blaze. Goblins wouldn't be fancy bouncing around a fireball or It wouldn't be fancy multi-kicking something. You know what? They would just blaze. Of course, we got a Tarfire, our Goblin Shock. Goblin Barrage. Now, this is kind of it's a new take on an old spell here. Yeah, I mean, for 4 mana, it deals 4 damage to target creature. If it was kicked by sacking an artifact or a goblin, it also deals 4 to a player or walker, which is, kind of not as good as the Goblin Grenade. We're always going to love the Goblin Grenade. It's amazing. Goblin War Drums is just flat going to give all our guys menace, I believe is what it's called now. As I mentioned before, the gratuitous violence. It makes Pashalik deal 2 instead of the 1, so that's neat. Claws of Valakut, because nobody sees commander damage coming with Pashalik. I mean, it just doesn't happen. The Goblin Bombardment is probably one of the better combos here. Well, not really combo, one of the better cards with Pashalik, just simply because we can... It's a free outlet, and it deals a little bit of damage. Leyline of Punishment, because the last thing we want is people to gain life or prevent damage. Reckless Abandon is kind of the fix, or the powered down Goblin Grenade. Relentless Assault, I had to have that in there simply because this is, this is the the Visions is the very first time we ever saw Relentless Assault. And, it's goblins. And then Ancient Runes. I like the Ancient Runes. Just, boy, this is another card that gets really, really ridiculous with Makos and Lattice. Of course, I mean, it's not like that deck or that card needs any help. But it's really good with that. Not present here, but artifacts are very popular. I mean, the number 1 played card in our format is an artifact. So now we've got lands. We're going to do the good land last. Good. God, I never thought I would call that good. We've got, of course, the couple cycling lands. Now we're running the Dormant Volcano mainly because it'll tap for 2 eventually. The Blighted Gorge, in case I need the free, well, not a free shock, but it's the Goblin Burrows. And City of Shadows was one of the first lands I thought about, simply because it's a sacrifice. So I did use this tonight. I tapped it to sacrifice a goblin. Pashalik went off. I'd say went off. He dealt his 1 damage. And then the idea was to keep doing it every turn, so that I would mound up this huge City of Shadows. And even because normally City of Shadows is a terrible card with, you sacrifice one of your own creatures. City is one of those cards I've made fun of. We've all made fun of for years. Did not know till I was listing the deck on Tapped Out. This Joker's like $20+. And I mean, to be the butt of the jokes that I have made for the past 20-something years, because I put it in there and I went, you know what? This is like the first deck I've ever seen where it's actually decent, because the more I use it, the better it gets, and it's a sack outlet for my commander, which is kind of what we want to do. We want to be sacking goblins. And lo and behold, it's over 20, and I was like, whoa. I don't know, did Pashalik do this? How long has City been expensive? I mean, did I just miss the boat here? I have no clue. It could have been that expensive for 10 years or better. I don't know. I've never actively bought or traded one. This is the ones I've had that I pulled from the dark packs way back when, I mean, it's not a card that... Anyway, that is what I have got for Pashalik. I hope you enjoyed. Kind of a runs like a typical Goblin deck. I probably will end up putting a little more mana in here. Maybe taking out the 2 artifact sweepers and putting in definitely probably a soul ring. I didn't do a soul ring because I was like, it's all 1s, 2s, and 3s, it's not a lot. But to keep activating his ability, and maybe even like a heartstone to reduce that cost. So to keep, because you really, really want to do that every turn, and maybe even something as silly as a mana flare to really ramp it up. Anyway, that's what I've got. I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think now. It's got to get better, right? But right now, I think we are going to shuffle and cut.